One small, forgotten gate might be the reason the Roman Empire doesn't exist anymore. Not the Roman Empire you're picturing, with gladiators and the Colosseum. That version had already collapsed centuries earlier, but a smaller piece of it, the Byzantine Empire, ruled from the city of Constantinople, had somehow survived for another 1,000 years after that. In 1453, it was the very last piece of ancient Rome still standing, and then, over the course of about 2 months, it wasn't anymore. Constantinople sat in an almost impossible location to conquer. Water on 2 sides, and on the one side reachable by land, massive walls, some of the strongest defensive walls ever built, had protected the city for over 1,000 years. Armies had tried and failed to break through them for centuries. In the spring of 1453, a new Ottoman sultan named Mehmed II decided he would be the one to finally take the city. He was 21 years old. He brought an enormous army, somewhere around 80,000 soldiers, against a city defending itself with maybe 7,000 to 8,000 fighters. But numbers weren't Mehmed's biggest weapon. He brought cannons, some of the largest ever built at that point, specifically designed to smash through walls that had never been broken. For weeks, the siege dragged on. The cannons pounded the walls day after day. The defenders, badly outnumbered, patched the damage at night as fast as they could and held the line. It shouldn't have been possible for them to last this long. Somehow they did. Then came the twist that decided the entire siege, and historians still argue about whether it actually happened the way it's usually told. Along the city's massive walls was a small side gate called the Porta, mostly used by defenders slipping out for quick raids against the attackers outside. According to the most popular version of the story, that gate was accidentally left unlocked, or not properly closed, during one of those raids. A group of Ottoman soldiers reportedly discovered it open, completely unguarded, and slipped through it into the city. Once inside, they climbed a nearby tower and raised an Ottoman flag. Defenders on other parts of the wall saw that flag flying inside the city and panicked, believing the walls had already been breached everywhere. Some retreated, some abandoned their posts entirely. The organized defense that had somehow held for weeks fell apart within minutes. Here's the twist behind the twist. Many historians actually doubt this story is fully true. Almost none of the eyewitnesses or chroniclers who were actually there at the time mention the Porta at all. The detailed version of the story mostly comes from one historian writing after the fact, who some scholars think added it to explain a defeat that realistically was probably going to happen regardless, once cannons that powerful were aimed at walls that old. True gate story or not, the ending was the same. The city's last emperor, Constantine XI, reportedly tore off his royal markings and charged into the fighting alongside his soldiers, rather than surrender. His body was never conclusively identified afterward. By the end of that day, Constantinople had fallen. The last piece of the Roman Empire, technically continuous since the days of Augustus, almost 1,500 years earlier, was gone. Mehmed II, just 21 years old, walked into the city as its conqueror and became known from that day forward as Mehmed the Conqueror. The fall sent shockwaves across Europe. Constantinople had acted as a gateway between Europe and Asia for centuries. With it gone, trade routes shifted, and some historians even argue the search for new paths to Asia helped push European explorers toward the Atlantic, eventually leading toward the voyages that reached the Americas. So what actually ended nearly 1,500 years of Roman history? Not a fair fight, not one clean cause. A young sultan with better cannons than anyone had ever built, weeks of relentless siege, and possibly, just possibly, one small gate that someone forgot to lock. And that's how a city that had outlasted empires for 1,000 years fell in a single day, and took the very last piece of ancient Rome down with it.